Hello, welcome to my show, the Amado Lucero Show, where I bring in different people from different career fields to showcase their talents and specialties to the world. Today I have Beverly's own Mr. G. He not only teaches business and finance, he's also a physical education teacher during period 7. So come on up, Mr. G.
Thank you for having me, sir. Much
course.
appreciated.
Thank you for
Do a
being
fist
here.
bump. Boom.
So before we get
All right.
started, how's everything going so far? I understand you have a little cold, but other than that, how's everything else?
Yeah, slightly under the weather, but everything's good otherwise, man. Just keeping up with the end of school, end of the semester, and keeping up with grades and making sure students are on track. And yeah, pretty good.
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about this, so let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So my first question for you is, before this all started for you, just take me back to the beginning. Like if I was new to your school and we were in high school, what were you like back then? What was your personality? What were you into? Just give me all the specifics.
Honestly, I think I'm the same. I don't think anything's changed. When I was in high school, I was the kind of person that vibed with a lot of different people. You know, if we walk into the lunch area, the quad, you know, it was people on one side of the quad, the other side of the quad, I knew people on either side. So I kind of hung out with a lot of different groups of people, but I kind of had my main crew that I hanged out with. But yeah, I was pretty much all over the place. I knew a lot of people. I wouldn't say I was like popular, but I just knew a lot of people in different walks of life. And still the same person, same personality, like to have fun, laugh a little bit, took my academics seriously. You know, A's and B's mostly.
That's good to hear, and I'm sure with those good grades, you ended up going to college. So if you did go to college, what college did you go to?
Yeah, I went to Long Beach State for undergrad, and after that, I took some courses like real estate, a bunch of different classes like online, and you know, I never stayed with any of those things, and then I ended up going to grad school at Columbia in New York. So I did that for a couple of years, and then came back out here. A couple of years went by, then I went back and got my credential. I have a physical education credential, also have a CTE, career technical education credential. So added those pretty much during COVID before I started working here. And so yeah, those are kind of the different places I went. Obviously there were like community colleges that I went to in between, took courses online, in person. So I can't even remember all of them. I got to go back and look at the transcripts.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. And with all those courses that you took and you graduated, what inspired you to become an educator?
Good question. I kind of always worked around the educational field, like even when I was in college and in high school, I used to tutor students. So little nephews of mine I used to tutor, so I used to always kind of work in that field. So it kind of was like just something I gravitated to. I don't know if there was any particular thing that inspired me, but what comes to mind when I was in college, I had a professor named Dr. Mandy, and he was just like, I don't know, something about him, he was just really personable. We would have like these sessions after class where like people would just come in and like hang out, we'd talk about stuff. So it kind of created that environment where you wanted to learn, but also, you know, have fun. So I'd say he probably played a good part in that. But also I had like teachers throughout the years that made an impact in a positive way. I remember like I had a chemistry teacher, and I still use his policy to this day. But he used to teach us really use your class time to be productive. And I don't really believe in homework. And that was his whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what, I like that, you know, and when you're here, do the work, you know, be productive when you're here. So it's going to be a lot of work to do within that time, especially we have like an hour 35. But once that's all said and done, you should be able to go home and enjoy yourself. Now, for your Common Core classes, that might not be the case, but for an elective course like mine, it works, I think. And so I believed in that, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And you know, speaking of what you teach, which is business and finance, it is very important in the world, especially for careers, and it's actually something I'm interested in as well. So out of all the subjects you could have taught, what got you interested in this field?
Good question. I think the fact that personal finance wasn't something I learned about when I was in school, I kind of was attracted to that, the basics behind it, the budgeting and the saving and investing, those things. So I think those things really stuck out to me as like, if there's an opportunity to teach that, and I didn't know there was, and then I found out about the different types of credentials, it was always something I would have enjoyed doing, just because I'm interested in that stuff. Even on my own, I'm kind of like self-taught when it comes to the stock market. I learned on my own, read articles, watched videos and whatnot. And then on the PE side, I always thought if I was going to teach a subject, it would probably be that, because I've had the most fun doing that, just being outdoors, doing activities, sports, things of that nature. So to have like the combination of those two, where I can teach business and finance courses and have the physical education, to me, that if there was an opportunity to do that, I was going to take advantage of it. And what do you know? It worked out. So, yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. And before you came to this district, how many years of teaching do you have, and how many districts have you taught in?
It's murky. It's a lot, actually. So, because I taught overseas, I taught here in this country for a number of years. So it's a mixture of districts. I subbed as well. It's at least 10 years. I can't even remember all of them because I had so many different changes. But I remember when I was overseas, that was like 08, 09, something around that time frame. That was probably my first gig. And then I jumped around after that, and then I got the credential and all. So it's been at least 10 to 12 years, somewhere in that range. Yeah.
And what made you want to come to Beverly? Like when you chose to leave the other district that you taught in, and you were like, where do I want to go next? Why did you choose Beverly?
Good question. Well, I was looking around for opportunities, and then I saw this one as well as some other districts that I had already worked in previously. And then one of my colleagues told me that he knew someone that worked here, and he said they enjoyed it. And I said, okay, well, I'll try that out. I'll apply there, and we'll see what happens. But I kind of just cast a wide net and just, okay, whichever hits. I was kind of fishing, and see what I can catch. So I got to an opportunity here where it all worked out. I was able to be in the LA area, which was something I wanted to do. In Bel Air, for those of you who want to know. And so it worked out. But I would say, the colleague of mine that told me about the opportunity, or at least he knew somebody in the district and kind of guided me in a particular direction. I was like, okay, cool, this might work out, and it was a good choice in the end. I had a lot of offers, but I think I made the right one. Yeah.
And what have you enjoyed the most about being a staff member here at Beverly?
You know what? It's funny you say that. You asked me that, because I have fun interacting with you guys as students. Like, that's the most fun I have, I would say. In addition to some of the staff members that I hang with, but I think it's really, for me, it's kind of like that, getting that feel for what it was like when I was in high school again. Because that's just such a short period of time in your life, and there's nothing that replicates it. Like, college is like its own experience, high school is its own experience. So just kind of getting that nostalgia a little bit, interacting with the students, having fun. You can laugh, you can joke, and that probably stands out the most to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And speaking of staff members too, who is the number one staff member that you look up to and that you've made a very good connection with?
Okay, that I look up to. That's a good one. You know what? There's a few that I lean on, or at least I learn from, even though it might not be direct. One of those people is Professor Carey.
Shout out to Carey.
From him. I learned a lot from him. Actually, he's been here for a while. Chef Lisa's up there as well. Mr. Johnson, before he left, John Johnson, he's at Oregon now. There's quite a few. It's not really just one. I'm probably missing some people, so I'm sorry. But those are the first three that came to mind.
Hey, that's all good, and I like Chef Lise too. So shout out to Carey and Chef Lise.
Yeah, no doubt.
And my last question for the show is, for me and other teenagers on this campus, what is some advice that you would give us that you wish you knew when you were in high school?
Great question. Well, I think what you guys probably need the most is the life lessons like life skills. I don't think we get enough of that. Because what we do in the classroom is great, don't get me wrong, but you just need to learn the basics of like what's life going to be like when you get out of here. Because nobody's going to remind you to do your laundry, to pay your rent, those basic things. So being accountable for you, being aware of what you need to take care of, and building those right habits. And that goes into, the personal finance side. You have to really be smart about how you spend your time and how you spend your money. So I think it sounds like a lot right there, but those are the things that I try to hone in on. Like, am I a responsible human being? Am I building the right habits? And you do that, you're probably going to be successful in whatever it is you do.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for being here, and it's been a privilege being in your finance class this semester,
Cool.
And I look forward to taking your advanced class next semester. You're one of the best teachers that I've had, and I feel like that's one of the things you're always teaching us. Like, you will make some good jokes at us, like about how we are as teenagers, and the number one thing you said was, I want to go to the world you live in, but on the other side, you do teach us some basic skills as well. Like, the number one thing I remember you teaching us is that life will humble you, and how to just be responsible citizens, so that life isn't as hard as anyone would want it to be. You don't want life to be harder than necessary, and to make things easier for you, you just work smarter, not harder, by just being responsible and doing the things that you have to do, and just being a good citizen. And last but not least, you told us how if you follow directions, it'll take you a long way.
Yeah, it will. That's for real.
But that's all I have to say. Anything else you want to say?
Thank you for having me, number one. I can't remember if I've been in here or I've even been on any of these shows, but I think it's pretty impressive that you guys have all this equipment. Like, this is awesome to be able to have this opportunity, man, be in this space. So thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right.
All right.
That's it.
Yeah, this is where we shake.